Can I share with you my presentation for this session? Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, Bongani, we can see your screen.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, feel free to stop me in the midst of the presentation or maybe after for several questions. And please note that all participants for this webinar series are documented in real time through the CPD office in the EMDC. So all points that are accumulated in each CPD webinar that you are having, they go directly to your profile into the system. Hence, we have the EMDC also as part of hosting this session. So we thought it's best that if we could try to bring to you what the CPD program entails in terms of a comprehensive guide. So this was like our first session to all the practitioners. So the CPD provider for this one is the EMDC, as you can see, and then the activity number is the P002023 ET0102 activity number 1, and it has two points in terms of continuous education units. So my presentation will touch on the background of the CPD system, the CPD framework in terms of the roles and responsibilities, the CPD standards, CPD acquisitions, CPD requirements as well. We'll look into the model, the system, and as well as orientation in the different CPD forms and as well as the CPD guidelines. And then also touch on the calendar, just like the one shared to you in how it will be operationalized. To start with, CPD is an international requirement for all healthcare practitioners, maybe not only healthcare practitioners, but everyone who's practicing under a regulating body. So in 2019, 2018, with the support of PEPFAR through ICAP, they came with the idea to implement and introduce the CPD system into the country. And due to COVID, everything was on a lie low up until last year, November 2022, when the EMDC took, went full force to say, let's try to rob it in and introduce it formally to the laboratory cadre as well as to the dental cadre. So typically, the CPD is like an evidence of tracking and documenting the skills, knowledge, and experiences that one gains formally and informally beyond our initial training in terms of our in-service trainings. It's a record of what we experience, and most importantly, it's a requirement for our renewal because it serves as evidence that I myself, Bongani, am refreshed and competent in this analyzer. I'm still refreshed and competent in supply chain, in LQMS, and so forth and so forth. So this serves as a document for you to keep on practicing, to say you are still competent. It's more personal than for the program or like the council. So this point goes directly into your profile. So this is a memo, colleagues, which I've tried to share to pretty much everyone that I have emailed for, about 300 of the practitioners in the country. It's a memo that was released by the EMDC earlier this month. It was making emphasis to say, as of last year, 2021, 2022, we're doing a situational analysis whereby we're trying to see the uptake of the CPD program in both the laboratory and the medical and dental cadre. So as of this year, October 23 until September 2024, we are going full force, colleagues, and we will be having these virtual trainings. We'll be having physical trainings whereby any site or any practitioner will be invited to come. And then also we're inviting you to bring your online trainings that you're doing on your own in different platforms, and as well as some that you will recommend for all practitioners to come through and submit into the EMDC to have them in your profile as evidence that you are still practicing. I must say that it's only the CPD system is only now in the laboratory as well as the dental cadre. We are slowly descending it into the pharmacy professionals as well, the physiotherapists, the all the allied professions in a staggered approach. But for these two cadres, it's now a solid requirement for us to participate into the system. So from these, we have these guidelines that were developed and approved by the EMDC and the Ministry of Health, as well as all relevant stakeholders in 2019, and they were adopted. And anything that we are doing in terms of CPD as of now, we are following the guidelines. They contain the standards of the CPD and the overall implementation processes, M&E framework, course accreditation, roles and responsibilities of different people. And in line with the guidelines, we also have the logbook, which every practitioner should have. I've tried my best to ensure that I hand deliver to those who didn't have, but I'm still in the process that should anybody not have, they can contact me directly. I can give you the logbook for you to document even this webinar as well. Just write it in your logbook as your personal record that you were part of this training. So we have a CPD framework, colleagues, as you can see, which governs the whole processes of the CPD. At the core of the CPD program, we have the AMLAC. It's the Medical Laboratory Advisory Committee, which is made of public and private, as well as the institution, and the association to be part of this committee, who regulates how the program runs, the accreditation, as well as operating under the EMDC to advise, as well as help work as the CPD administration for the program. On my right there, we have the MOH, EHLS, and Blood Bank, the teaching institution and other partners. Their role in the program is to help in CPD administration, provide activities, present activities, and also recommend any trainings that we might have from time to time. And our role as lab practitioners is to collect the CPD points, participate in such platforms that are provided for us, as well as participate in lifelong learning, as well as administer own points whereby you take your own course online or any other training, and then also present it to the EMDC CPD office to have it in your profile. And our employers, the supervisor, is to help us in personal development, motivation, and skill development. So this is typically how everything is revolving within the CPD program at large, specifically for the laboratory. This is our model, colleagues. At the first point up there, we have the CPD providers. In our context here, locally in the country, we have CPD providers with the likes of the EHLS, your ASD, eMedical, VNH, the institutions as well, who are accredited to offer trainings and CPD points to all practitioners. And then who applies through the EMDC CPD office for accreditation. Then upon accreditation, the courses are made available at point 3 right there. They are made available in different platforms. In this case, we took the liberty of making a quarterly calendar to have all the CPD courses available for all the practitioners. And our role as lab staff is just to participate in these trainings and also accumulate more. Everything is housed at the EMDC in terms of the regulation, whereby we have a CPD calendar for the laboratory, we have a CPD calendar for the doctors, and we are also developing one for the pharmacy and the radiographers as well. And then the CPD activities, this is like the training that we're having, just like this first webinar, even though we hope that over time the participation will increase. But these are the 6 activities that we're having to have more trainings available for us as a practitioners. And then at the end, we should have the minimum required points for us to continue renewing our licenses as evidence that we are still competent in our field. So this is like CPD provider list for the laboratory card. Just like I've mentioned, we have the EMDC, EHLS, eMedical, AccuBio, DataFi, the TMU, the private labs as well. We have the programs and as well as our institution, MCO and SUN. And then part of that, we used an accreditation number, which is a unique identifier that we are using to identify these different CPD providers, which I'll explain in the next slide. And then they are classified based on their thematic areas, as you can see in my table. And then on my far right is the number of courses that they have applied for and which are accredited. And hopefully they'll apply for more to be part of the project. So this is the CPD provider nomenclature, the numbering. As you can see, the code, it's different from time to time. So take for example, this is a CPD provider EHLS. The accreditation number starts with P, which is P for provider. Then 001 is the order number. So, and then on the other side, on my far right is the year which it was accredited. So this is like P001 2023. We all know that's EHLS. If it's P002 2023, it's another CPD provider. But then we dive deeper to then link the CPD courses or the trainings based on their categories. So the different categories we have with the quality, thematic area, we have the safety, relevant instruments, supply chain, testing, IT or informatics. The list is endless, but I have had just the few here for us to understand as you'll be seeing these codes from time to time. Take, for instance, this is a quality training by EHLS. It means the code will be like P001 2023 QU01. Sorry, there was a typo. QU01. And then the last number on the right is the CPD activity number. So, colleagues, this is a table that was approved by the EMDC in terms of grading of the CPD courses or activities. We have the in-service training in a form whereby we do a group-based training, whereby 1 hour of that contact time is equivalent to 1 point. We have a workshop in a case whereby it's a mixture of doctors, nurses together. 1 hour for our contact time in that session is 0.5. When we develop a journal club, should you attend in that is 0.5. When you take a course online as an e-learning, 1 hour is equivalent to 1 point. The list goes on and on and on and on. But far more importantly is that when you join when you look at the bottom, our continuous medical education, which is a platform like we're doing, whereby 1 hour for our contact time is equivalent to 1 point. As well as when delivering or facilitating any other training, you get double the points, whereby 2 points is equivalent to 1 hour of your session. So we are using this guide to grade all our CPD activities that we are having under the laboratory card. I must say though that the approaches are different because the doctors also have their own classification and interpretation of the different CPD activities. So it's very essential for us to understand the requirement for the lab, not to confuse them with the different cadres. Hence, we have a personalized handbook and a personalized calendar for us to use. So these are the different requirements based on the different cadres that we have. At the top there, we have a pathologist, the team that's in the pathology department. For them to continue practicing, the system requires about 40 continual education units, whereby 2 comes from safety, 2 from the core, 20 from the core specialty, and 18 from the clinical practice. And mostly, whereby the majority of us are the lab technologists, we request about 30 points, whereby 3 comes from the QMS, 3 from any instrumentation, 2 from safety, and the 22 from different areas, just like the webinars, online training that you might have. And then also, it's very important to note that we have quite a number of lab practitioners who no longer work in the bench, like of myself, and maybe some facilitators or, lecturers. We, in the guideline, it states how their minimum and points can be assigned as of section 9.5, as you can see in the highlighted box on my far right. Then for technologies, it's required about 25 points for them to keep on practicing. And then for phlebotomy, it's 15 points. So we took the liberty of creating a very, very strategic calendar, which can offer any healthcare practitioner in the lab about even double these points, with active participation, because we have arranged number of physical trainings. As we speak, there's an ongoing malaria training, which has invited a couple of them. Next month, there'll be parasitology training countrywide, and then on a weekly basis, but we'll also evaluate this one. We have such platform as the e-learning platform. So we hope that this will be sufficient for every practitioner to have the relevant training they need as per their requirements, as well as the enough points for them to renew next year, September, with the minimum point that are required. Sorry. Okay. Now we'll dive into the roles and responsibilities of the different stakeholders. As mentioned before, we have the EMDC, or Eswatini Medical and Dental Council, who regulate the establishment of the laboratory facilities in the country. They approve the CPD providers with consultation with the AMLAC, our accreditation committee. They approve the CPD activities, just like the one we're having today. It has been approved by the EMDC and the AMLAC. They oversee the CPD activities as they are part of this webinar as well. They conduct quality audits from time to time, as well as develop and maintain the CPD activity database, whereby later I'll show you our electronic system that we're using for managing the CPD holistically in the country. And then these are some of the roles and responsibilities of the AMLAC. They review the applications, revise CPD allocated per course from different CPD providers. They monitor the compliance, investigate complaints from providers as well as practitioners. And then CPD providers, their primary role is to develop and provide need-based activities. For example, if we have a new analyzer, then we approach a different supplier to say, hey, we've just introduced a new test. Can you train? Technically, that's like a need-based CPD activity for that laboratory. They designate a course coordinator or a focal person for us to work closely with in relation to CPD activities. They develop the calendar on a quarterly basis. So what you usually do, we touch base with all the CPD providers on a quarterly basis, on a timely manner to see their activities, their trainings in line with the Ministry of Health, as well as in line with the EMDC calendar, so that we can match and make one. And also they play part in also publicizing and offering the advertising the CPD activities to the different practitioners, as well as upload CPD data, which is the list of the participants in our system. And also, they're supposed to give a CPD attendance certificate after each active participation of a CPD program, as stipulated in our guideline. They prepare and send an activity report to the EMDC on a timely manner, as well as also apply for renewal after a duration of about 2 years. Remember, colleagues, that in the accreditation, there's the year 2023 there. So what that means that the license will run for the next 2 years. So after 2 years, they should also express their interest within the EMDC to still offer trainings to the laboratory cadre in the country. And one big role that we should do as practitioners, I think it's in our power to always confirm if that CPD provider or the person offering you a training has registered with the EMDC. Because if they offer you a training and then you're losing out on your CPD points, then it doesn't serve any purpose to have a training probably which might not even be recognized by the EMDC. But maybe, yes, it will be recognized by your institution in terms of your compliance to certain standards, but it's also best to have it in line with the EMDC standards as well. So one of the requirements post each CPD activity, it's in a certificate of attendance. So this is like a typical example that we did last year, if I remember well, with the Taipei Medical University, the Taiwanese mission in the country. Our guideline states that the certificate should have an accreditation number of the of that CPD activity, the topic, the level of activity, the number of CPD points, as well as the date, and as well as signatories. This should also be a backup evidence for the attendance or the practitioners attending the training. The stakeholders involved in the CPD activities is the Ministry of Health. Their role is to undertake and also facilitate continued development for all professionals in the country. They encourage professionals in association to participate into the CPD program. They ensure that in-service trainings are considered as CPD courses with the credit points, which is what I was trying to mention, that our CPD activities has been synchronized or merged with the calendar for the Ministry of Health. And as well as associations, one of their roles is to initiate and promote the CPD activities. They propose CPD activities to all healthcare practitioners, especially the laboratory. They serve as a CPD provider, and they are mandated to also invite and organize a CPD workshop or a seminar, a symposium, and invite a speaker as an association and make that a CPD activity. For us as healthcare practitioners is to take record of the CPD points we are getting, accumulate the CPD points on a timely manner, as well as any other related administrative that we should do within the CPD program. And then we have the implementing partners, which is in our case, so ICAP, URC, Georgetown, MSF, Aspire. They also provide technical and financial support to the Ministry of Health and the dental and the EMDC to help the CPD program function in many ways. Just like I mentioned that the CPD program is supported by ICAP, and also the implementing partners also has a role in helping the professional association to also actively participate in the CPD program, providing technical support. And in our case, they provide the logbooks, they're developing the system, they supported and sponsored the digital system, as well as all the infrastructure within the EMDC in support of the CPD program. So the public and private laboratories or sectors, one of their primary roles is to undertake into the CPD need assessment for the Ministry of Health and as well as relevant bodies. Meaning, it might not only be the role of the training coordinator to do a training need assessment. For example, there's a private lab, and then you request and need numerous training. The guideline states that you can write to the training office for us to arrange or work together to have certain number of trainings arranged for you. You can recommend the trainings that must be in the calendar, also avail and also participate in the CPD courses as well. The next couple of slides, colleagues, I'll be diving into the orientation of the different forms that are there in the CPD guideline. We have the form for application for the registration for the CPD providers. We have the application form for the accreditation of a CPD course or a training. We have a CPD provider accreditation certificate template, certificate of attendance template I've talked about. We have a training evaluation form. We have application of non-accredited CPD activities. So this one talks of of own CPD courses that we did online, which were not part of the calendar as shared with you, but which you wish could be recognized by the EMDC. You fill this form, attach the certificate or any proof of participation, and then the CPD officer will revert back to you after the AMLAC, the EMTC has approved this one. And then we also have an appeal form, just in case there are any other anomalies that are there. So we have the first form, which is used by the CPD providers. Take, for instance, we have a new CPD provider who is to be part of the program. They fill up this form and submit the relevant documents as stated in this form. Then the EMTC officer will review, accredit, and as well as give the certain accreditation course points accreditation number to this applicant. And then under this applicant, they can apply for accreditation for numerous different courses, whereby they have to elaborate vividly on the date of the training which they're proposing, the number of days, the target audience, the lead facilitator. It's advised that at least we know the resume in the form of a resume or just a small profile, their qualification. Also outline the summary in the proposed CPD points as stipulated into the guideline. And upon accreditation, all the CPD providers will be issued accreditation certificate, which gives them their unique identification number, as well as how long their license is valid for in their specialty areas. And then certificate of attendance, I've elaborated briefly on it. And then we also have a training evaluation form, which we issue out to also help the program do better and also improve the program. So which looks like this one. And then lastly, we have application for assessment of non-accredited CPD activity. In this context, just like how I mentioned, take for instance, I went to Cape Town to attend a workshop, which was not part of the CPD calendar activities. So the idea is to say, even if I've logged it in my logbook, the EMDC should know upfront, even before I go to renew, that I've participated and took a course outside the country. So we have this form, which is available in a soft copy, whereby the practitioners can fill with the details of where they got the training and the time, duration, the venue, and pretty much the details of what they learned, and attach the certificate, then send it into the email as mentioned into the CPD calendar that I've shared with you last week. So we also have an attendance register, which is used by the CPD providers primarily. And in this context, we're not really mentioning that they should change their tools, but we at least request that within their tools, they have a slot for the EMTC number in a component which highlights who was the facilitator and their practice number as well, and the details of when the training started and when it finished. And we use this information to then allocate into the system on real time. Take, for instance, the moment we finish this webinar, this virtual session, the report will be extracted and sent into the system so that all the participants of the session get the CPD points as per the requirement into their profiles directly. And we are also advised that you log this training into your CPD log. And if you don't have, we can communicate offline and how we can get it to you, or you get it directly at the EMTC office. And then also we have a CPD appeal form for practitioners. This one is used primarily in an event whereby you participated in a CPD activity, but there are certain issues you have. Maybe you were not logged, it was not logged into your profile, or maybe whatever the reason would be. So you fill this form and send it directly to the EMTC office. They'll review a case and then see how best they can sort the issue. So, colleagues, this was the calendar that I've sent to pretty much all the practitioners, I think last week. What you see here, it's like a detailed part of the Ministry of Health EMTC calendar, which tries to give us detailed information of how the CPD accredited courses are being offered and rolled out as of October to December 2023. This is like our first quarter. The next quarter will start from January to March, likewise going forward. So the idea is to send these calendar on a quarterly basis. So it becomes your choice of whether you participate in a different platform or not. I mean, webinar or not. So take, for instance, the first training is malaria microscopy training. It requested about 10 per group, which is 20. So who were specifically invited by the malaria program. So all those practitioners going for the training, they get about 30 points. It's a physical training, is at the George, but on invite only. So anyone in this training gets CPD point. Today we have our first virtual talk on laboratory CME, whereby we're trying to explain or see how our CPD work looks like. So all practitioners get this point. On the 19 as well, we'll be testing, having the principal quality deliberating on us on now quality, likewise going forward. So this is like our calendar, colleagues, which and you can see that we have online self-paced courses. So these are not only limited to these, colleagues, but we thought, like, let's just see if people are willing to participate, because these were chosen by the AMLAC as well, and also see if we can all participate in this. It's like we pre-selected the course for the lab card. So anyone who joins here takes the course. It's like 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 hour, 2 hours, 30 minutes. It depends. The idea is to then upload the certificate and send the certificate to the email as mentioned at the top. So we also have the digital system, colleagues. I think with your permission, can I just navigate you through and let me just take you through how the system looks like. I hope you can still see my script, or maybe I should also share my Chrome. Okay. So can you see my screen? So we have this system, colleagues. We have this system. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
we can
Malala,
see it.
we
Okay,
can see
thank
it.
you. All right. So we have the online website, which is made for everyone. It's used by all the cadres. But just like I said, the rollout of the program, it's in different approaches. So I would join, I will log in here using my profile so that I can just show you how the platform looks like. Okay, so this is the login page. As a new user, you come here and then you sign up, create an account. And I would really advise each and every one of you to create an account here. But I will also mention when the CPD activities functions are now live on real time. So I hope my network is stable enough. Okay. So this is how we have a dashboard, colleagues, which shows us the total number of members in different fields, laboratory, dental, physio, who are active in the system. And then here we have the different CPD courses. And then we courses, completed courses, CPD providers, which collectively, including the doctors, we have about 23 CPD providers to date. And then it is to have the CPD calendar here, just that this webinar, you would have seen in the calendar today, popping into your profile. You would click join or participate into this. So on my far right, we have the navigation menu. Although this is an administrator profile, at the user profile, we might not see all the features, but I just want to take you through on how it looks like. So under the CPD providers, we have a list of the CPD providers, just like I showed you in my presentation. Although here I'm mixed, we have the one for the class and the one for the laboratory. And then each information about the CPD provider provide details the focal person. You can either directly contact the person, as well as if you want to see the detailed CPD activities, you can click the profile of that CPD provider. And then you could find the details, find the courses that are available under the CPD provider. You'll find their accreditation status. You'll find their licensure status in terms of when they are due for renewal or their session is expired. You'll find the calendar. Also find different variables, as you can see. So then we also have navigation menu for CPD courses. So these are the actual CPD courses, although they're not in real time because the system is still under development. The idea is to find CPD course here. And then you can see that this one, the Look Commission, and it's pending. And then you can click the CPD course, and with the user profile, you can click join or participate in the workshop, such that the CPD provider can get the details of those who wish to be part of the training and approve them on a real time. My network is slow, colleagues, apologies. But as you can see, the CPD courses, about 3 people were interested to join this one. And then the CPD provider can also mark the CPD register here. For practitioners who were in the system, we can then change their status to attended, that and completed or not, or pending, and the likes and all of that. And also, we can also send them directly certificate of attendance here into their email. So it looks better on the user profile, but unfortunately, I'm using the administrator. Then we also have the user profile, whereby we can see those who are in the system and approve them, fix their profiles, and all the likes. And I request you colleagues to join, have your profile here, start interacting with the system, and familiarize yourself with it, because in a real-time manner, these are like people who are in the system today. We have about 348 members using the system, the lab, and all the other cadres. And also, we also have the licensure and renewal. Say, from your dashboard, you can easily tell if you are missing certain number of points or not. And then if you are due for renewal and all the likes. So going back into my presentation, for renewal going forward, colleagues, as of this year, you submit a copy of your logbook alongside with your renewal form and your receipt of payment. The team at the EMDC reception desk will look into your logbook, just like they do for the nurses, to say, do you have the 30 or minimum points that you need for renewal? Then if yes, they give you an approval form, stamp, they renew for you like that. And that will cross-check what's in your logbook against what's in your system. So this is my colleagues. As of last year, I just thought I would take a snapshot just to give you an idea of how it looks like to document trainings on real time. So the whole point is to have the date in the logbook, the name of the training, the number of hours, the CPD points the training has, the CPD provider or the institution, the signature of the facilitator, and your signature, and as well as the stamp. But we noted that most organizations still have big stamps, so it takes a little bit of stamps. So going forward, we agreed to create or print logbooks with bigger spaces to accommodate big stamps. Yeah. And just like any other course, colleagues, we created a small evaluation. I think it's about 10, 15, sorry, about 10 questions, which it also serves as a register for now, for you to access just a small form, and also which you provide your details to say, Bongani Lamini, this is my practice number, and maybe 2 questions on the above mentioned CPD course or training, just to see it, to gauge the level of information that was grasped during this talk. So please, colleagues, in the next 2-3 minutes, if you may scan this QR code and just try to access the form here, which will help us. And I will also post this link in the chat. Please follow this link. Yeah, and try to take on this small quiz. It's a small quiz, colleagues, to see and also test our level of understanding. I think you can do it after the session. But this brings me to the end of this talk, colleagues. At this point, I'd like to take some questions, if there are any. Thank you. Nathan.
Good day, colleagues. Thank you, Bongani. This is Nathando Gambula. Thank you for the presentation. Very informative presentation. I think mine is just to ask, for instance, I'm due for renewal, I think this month. Does that mean that I will not be able to renew my license without having all the points that you just mentioned? Thank you.
Hi. Thank you for that, Nintendo. I mentioned earlier that we were doing a situational analysis phase, whereby we're trying to see the uptake of the CPD program. Now you can renew without the point. It's okay. It's not a must. But anyone who has a copy or who has accumulated a point can also submit to the EMDC for them to also keep in their database. So for now, anyone can still renew without the point. It's okay. But next year, they will need the CPD point for the laboratory and the doctors. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Thank you.
Is there any other question?
Bongani.
Hi, sir.
Hi, this is George from Manzini Clinic.
Hi.
I just wanted to clarify, probably I missed you. So like if I did just recently some training, like I did some training with ASD, which is accredited. Do I send the certificate to you or to EMDC?
You do have the calendar, right? That I sent your email.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there are 2 emails there. I think you can CC me, and also there's one for info at EMDC. But please send in those 3 emails. CC me in those emails
Okay.
for them to accredit that. But nonetheless, what we usually do with the CPD providers, for example, AST is accredited with the EMDC. So what we do behind the scenes, prior to a training, we work closely to get it accredited, and as well as they share with me the list of the people to be trained. And also post the training, they share with me the attendance registers, which I then use to update into the system. So even if you might share the certificate, but it's already there in the system. So what you might probably need to do is just to document it in your logbook, in your CPD logbook.
All right.
All right, thank you. Any other question? Okay, thank you so much, colleagues. I have a QR code on my screen, and as well as a link on the chat box. Please follow it through. I just want to get your full details, because at the same time, we are also updating our database. I would want to know the full details of Notando, of Bushe, George, in terms of your practice number, your institution, either at MCU or the clinic group, just to update our database in real time. Then the next part of this question is just your understanding in terms of if you understood some of the requirements of the CPD. I think there are about 3-4 questions. Then at the end, it will tell you your score. And then I will also use that to give you a digital certificate of attendance for this webinar, which will also serve as your document to support you in anything you're doing in terms of participation in this CPD activity. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Morgan.
All right. Yes, Natanda?
Sorry, Bongani.
Hi.
I'm just thinking here, in a case where, for instance, let me say I'm a laboratory manager at Moneni,
Yes.
and then I want my colleagues to participate as well.
Yeah.
And we do something like a joint participation of the virtual CPD trainings. For instance, if maybe we have a CPD training that is scheduled like today, we just slate it into sort of like a departmental slot, whereby the CPD training is projected in the lab for those people who cannot have access to the Zoom. How will you be able to track the participation for those people? For instance, in the lab, you have your technologists, you've got your phlebotomists, which are still part of the laboratory cadre. How are you going to track the participation in that regard?
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I've seen that in a training that I was doing, I think 2 weeks back. I was training, and I realized that another facility projected the whole talk. And then I think it's whereby we have to work behind the scenes. First and foremost, I'd advise that we change our name in the Zoom link to say this is Manzini Clinic. And then they will give me the idea that it's not one person, it's the manager probably and the rest of the laboratory. Then I think offline, we can then get the details of the people who participated in that. For now, that's the only measure I think I have in place to say, change your name from Bongan Brian Lamini, your Zoom link, and then write Manzini Clinic. Then probably offline or in the chat box, they mentioned that these are the people present in this workshop or in this training. Yeah, I think that might work.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
For that.
That will help a lot.
Yeah. Thank you so much, colleagues. And I'd like to appreciate you on behalf of the EMDC, the laboratory at large, public, private, and the partners and the institution for taking your time and joining in the session, even though the attendance was pretty much low. But I still do recommend that please share the link, share the link and sensitize the rest of the staff, because we want these trainings to get to everybody. this might have been an introductory to the CPD guideline, but going forward, as of Thursday, we'll be having thematic based in terms of quality, microbiology, biosafety and biosecurity. And yeah, the list is endless. And if you do have an idea and suggestive topics, write to us, write to me, and suggest a certain number of topics that we might be interested in. We still are open to invite more CPD providers and CPD courses for people who are willing to train and yeah, be a major contributor into the program at large. Yeah. Thank you, colleagues. Please also don't forget to finish up on the form. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, much appreciated.
Much appreciated. Thank you.